Hello and welcome to episode 4 of The Crystal Men.
We finally came up with a name.
And it's equal parts horrible, equal parts hilarious.
And that's the best part about it. The Crystal Men. We are the Crystal Men.
Yes. So, if you're unfamiliar, this is a Steven Universe rewatch podcast. We're going through every episode of Steven Universe and rewatching it and kind of just noticing things, picking apart things we really enjoy.
Yeah, and just dissecting the series as a whole.
Yes, exactly. And today we did episode 4, which is Together Breakfast.
And let me just start out by saying, I don't know if this is a recent thing. This is just very slightly related, but I do not enjoy pancakes anymore.
Really?
Yeah, and I was looking at these pancakes and I'm like, this does nothing for me.
You know, I hate to break it to you. He actually makes waffles in this episode.
Oh God, waffles! You're right. You fucking. Still, I was looking at the waffles and I was like, this does nothing for me.
Really, I can't believe that. I love pancakes. They're one of my I could always have pancakes.
I think it's the syrup. I don't like syrup anymore. Some whipped cream, okay, but it's too much. Too much. Some nice eggs.
I totally
and toast.
Understand.
But yeah, so that was the review of the episode.
One thing I do have to say, a recommendation to you, Tom, is I really enjoy. Oh, I don't know if we introduce ourselves.
Oh yeah, I'm Jimmy, and that's Tom.
No, it's the other way. So Tom.
Yes.
One thing I'd recommend to you is one thing I love to get are chocolate chip pancakes. And when I get chocolate chip pancakes, you don't need any syrup or anything else on them. They're all gooey inside already, and it's just really fluffy and delicious. Oh, butter, I guess I do put butter on them, but
butter's that's fine. That goes on everything. But maybe I'll try. Maybe that'll save me from this
hell
pancake hell I'm in. I feel similarly to waffles too.
It's funny because I feel like a lot of people prefer the waffle to the pancake, and in this episode we see Steven uses frozen waffles, which are a whole different beast. But I'm talking fresh waffle.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
One more tangent, and then I'm done. I will say, my white whale is Eggo waffles. They were out for a couple of years, and they were frozen Eggo waffles, but they had jam injected inside the waffle. Yeah, and so you heated it up in the toaster oven. And then, you didn't need anything because you just took a bite and you got the waffle and you got the jam and it was incredible.
Whoa, so Eggo waffle, they're full of waff.
Exactly. Yeah, whatever that means. But, God, they stopped making them and every time I go through the frozen food aisle, I look for them because, I just hope, beyond hope, that they'll appear one day because they are amazing.
This is a real Cookie Cat situation where your favorite thing is gone.
So we could tie it in somewhat. Yeah, I want them back. And I get it.
I'm not gonna lie, they sound kind of freaky.
I'm not doing a good job of selling them. They were incredible, and they should. I would have bought their entire stock, so they don't even have to worry about we won't make any money. I would have been enough.
You would be Atlas, hoisting the oh my God, I can't speak today. Hoisting all of the fiscal responsibility of waffles on your back.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
So
Steven Universe.
Steven Universe is a child who makes a Together Breakfast. So as we've kind of alluded to, the Together Breakfast consists of waffles, a lot of syrup. Actually, it's not even that much syrup. It's a lot of waffles. It's several waffles.
Too many waffles, definitely. But it's not just for one person.
That's true. So it's waffles, syrup, popcorn, whipped cream, and a single berry of straw. The straw variety.
Yeah, the popcorn, I don't know. I've never tried it.
Always seemed weird to me. There are a lot of sweet popcorns. You can do things to popcorn to make it sweet, but he's taken just I guess I'm assuming he's taking just
butter,
classic butter.
Yeah.
It could be kettle corn, I suppose, but this is a very unimportant detail.
Get Rebecca on the line. We gotta know.
So one thing I do want to critique, this is probably my harshest critique for the series so far. as this dubstep joke they do with the strawberry. I really don't like it. They do it twice. I think it's not very funny. A lot of things in this episode really like brought me right back into like 2012, 2013. Like I felt like a lot of the jokes were very specific to that era and like that era of comedy.
Yes.
And it's just kind of funny how even though we're only like half a decade and change from that, there's been like such a change in like humor and like the kind of humor. And
yeah,
like, this is also like a very like adventure, taken off from like Adventure Time as well.
Well, it's interesting too because it's like I don't know if the times we're living in that humor becomes stale faster or what, but like things that were funny and random in 2012, like they're just cringe now. There's just a lot of cringe.
Yeah, the one that jumped out to me, and it's not. I really don't even like feel negatively about this joke. It just reeked of that era. Was when he he throws the Together Breakfast in the air. Sorry, and he catches it on his plate, and then he gets it like perfectly, and then he says skills. And in my mind, that just feels like such a you wouldn't see anyone make that joke now. Like I don't know. It's hard to like put words to it, but the second I saw it, I was like, oh, this is a very specific era of cartoon comedy.
Like thematic to that era, that's a great point. I mean, it's just like random stuff like that. And I think too, like trying to, I don't even know how to describe this, trying to like make a thing like cheeseburger backpack and together breakfast and like, like names for these things. Like, I feel like that was very 2012 too.
Yes, that's one thing I thank you for bringing that up because I think that's such a like it's almost like a catchphrase in a way. Mm-hmm. Like the way that they keep, especially with cheeseburger backpack, like they keep saying it so you keep thinking of it. But I have such a fond association with cheeseburger backpack in my head, and even like the term together breakfast. I think what does it for together breakfast is like it's not two words that you see together as like one thing. So when Steven says it over and over again, it like creates that pathway in your brain. Yeah. So then I don't know, like there is something about that. There's a lot of Steven things from I think the first season that are like that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing, it works. I mean, I remembered it. Like
it totally fucking works. Like cheeseburger backpack is something that I will on my deathbed will be like ringing around my empty skull. Just Steven chanting cheeseburger backpack
forever in there. But yeah, definitely indicative of the time period for sure. Because like later season you don't see really, or later series you don't see like any of that kind of stuff. Really, I mean maybe some, but like not that I can think of. None that like are that pop into my memory as easy as like cheeseburger backpack.
Yeah, I kind of want to keep an eye out like as we keep going because there's something so like powerful a hook of those things, like those little short phrases that you definitely can see. I think another one we could maybe include with this is the if all pork chops are perfect, we wouldn't have hot dogs. Whereas these like repeated phrases that are trying to like reverberate in the minds of children, I'm guessing, and just getting them to think about Steven more.
Yeah, and by extension the show. That's because I mean there's like Dog Copter.
Yeah, that's another like good one to bring up too. I think
that's I mean, the show kind of starts going more towards serious later on, and I think when things start to get serious, you can't really like memify these kind of things.
I think memify is a really good term for it. Like, yeah, same with the one that I'm thinking of right now is Tiger Millionaire. That's another one that's like those two words are so stuck in my head from just Steven.
Yeah, no, it's true. They're trying to they repeat over and over again in an attempt to really stick with you. Huh.
But it works because it's like funny.
Yeah.
Unlike, I don't know, I feel like at least in Adventure Time would have so many of these funny, like weird, like characters would say an expression that would never be repeated again, or it would be like funny, but you'd forget about it. Just like trying to like, just one that I noticed, kind of like a side tangent. Pendleton Ward, the guy who made Adventure Time, just released a new cartoon on Netflix.
Did he really?
2 days ago.
Oh, crap.
And I binged it all in one day, and it was freaking crazy. and I don't want to talk about it too much. It's called Midnight Gospel, but there's something like early on in one episode, a character, he's complaining about his dad, and he's like, "Oh, my dad's such a tart baker," and and then later on, like you hear tart baker over and over again as like an insult, and it sticks. Like that's something that I know I will be saying as a joke in the future. So I don't know. I think it's funny to see that in like a brand new cartoon because it feels like a throwback to this era, like early 2010s.
Yeah, and I wonder why it became a thing in 20. I mean, I guess why does any not fad so much as like thing
just,
about
like,
an era? Yeah, like
I think it synergized so well with internet culture at the time because internet culture at the time was all about like punchiness and like really quick. Well, now it's gotten even more bite sized, but it was all about like really quick expressions or like funny image with like a few lines of text on there, or like it was the time when people started saying like "catto." Actually, that's probably later, but like people would start using like funny terms to be like, "Oh, it's ceiling cat." Oh, it's like
yeah, that's true. And
this
like
doggo.
and it really is when memes started to like really take off too.
Yeah.
I mean,
so yeah, I think memification is a really good way to describe a lot of these phrases and ideas.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I mean, that's like the first 10 seconds of the episode.
I mean, yeah. Like when I was watching this episode, I was like, "There's really not going to be a lot narratively to talk about." You can summarize it in like 10 seconds. It's Steven wants to eat a breakfast with his friends. They're all busy and they don't understand how much it means to him. He causes trouble. And then they eat the breakfast. But no, funny little twist joke at the end.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I will say, this is the first time you kind of it really shows Steven bringing everyone together, though. Because, I mean, they were all kind of at each other's throats throughout the episode, like Amethyst and Pearl especially.
Yeah.
And Garnet just, like, not really leading, just doing her own thing. But he brings them together at the end, and that's something that's gonna be much more reoccurring throughout the series too. I mean, Steven's the uniter, like, I mean, he's the heart of the group.
It's also, I think, like, yeah, even though the plot wise there's not much to say, it's really we do get some interesting like firsts in this episode. Like we see a lot of the gem for the temple for the first time. We see an episode that's really focused around Steven, like with this sort of inner turmoil, where every other episode has just been Steven like being a quirky child in this world that's like a little too complicated for him to understand.
Yeah.
But with this one, it's like something that he cares about deeply is like tormenting him. Maybe tormenting is a little deep.
No, but
deep of word.
But affecting him. I mean, like, yeah, absolutely. You kind of, and it's the first sense of you getting like, I don't know. He doesn't feel like a part of them yet. Like I know, he's trying to get his powers and everything like that, but it just, yeah, a good sense of his inner thoughts, at least from like a very toe in the pool stance.
Yeah, because like in Gem Glow, the very first one with Cookie Cat, like we see his whole like he's got this dilemma where it's like, oh, my Cookie Cat's going away. Also, I need to learn how to use my powers. But it was a lot more fun. This one, it feels like he's kind of continually failing.
Yeah.
And we're seeing how he's like, oh yeah, Steven is a character that is really determined and he doesn't give up easily. And he also is very short-sighted.
Oh yeah. God, yeah. First time we see Rose Quartz room too, from a quick couple seconds. I just noticed that in the episode, like when he was sliding down.
Damn, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so just a nice little continuity nod. So like going back to what we talked about last episode a little bit with the earlier episodes having a more like mystical aspect to them. The whole thing with the scroll. So like, again, it's they're kind of portraying it early on as this like supernatural, magical aspect instead of more technologically based. But looking back at this episode with the scroll from the context of like, oh, that's like gem dust on it.
Hmm.
really pretty fucked up.
Yeah, so it's funny because it's kind of hard to place like where this would fall in the universe because pretty much all the aliens that we see in this universe are like always gem based of some kind.
Yeah.
Like that is like we don't really see too much variation from that, at least for intelligent life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with this, it like the imagery on it made me think a lot of like the cluster and like because it has like a hand and a bunch of like eyes and stuff. So it's really interesting, and I know it's not really supposed to go anywhere. It's not like a loose plot thread. It's just kind of a
One-off
a
thing,
fun
yeah.
idea and a monster to tie into like the breakfast when it becomes the breakfast at the end. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting. It was something I'd completely forgotten about.
Yeah, and like, and that was my thing. I mean, I'm assuming it's just a bunch of mashed up gems that they wrote a scroll with that have some base level of like sentience still. And then like they pretty much just mercy killed it.
Yeah, and like Garnet was trying to kill it. Like Garnet was trying to burn it.
Yeah, like there was no saving this thing. It was yeah, like so I don't know if that was her
That kind of
like
goes
doing
along
a
with
favor. I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, that kind of goes along with like how they treated things like the cluster before because they initially I think they wanted to destroy it or the only thought was like this thing is so powerful and out of control there's no way it can be contained. So
Yeah.
I guess it's not too out of
Not out of character. Well, and I mean,
yeah.
even later on in the the big Lapis Lazuli episode, how they didn't want to free her, like,
Yeah.
which is really messed up. But I mean, I guess I don't know if they see like, well, I mean, I'm sure it's like body horror for them,
Yeah.
like especially the different shards and like the smaller clusters and stuff like that's ugh. That's like you're just putting together pieces of a human body and it still has life.
Yeah, there's another manga series, manga, and they actually made it an anime that I am very into. It's one of my favorite manga of all time, called Land of the Lustrous,
Mm.
and it's really funny because it has a lot of like aesthetic similarities to Steven Universe. It's about basically a race of like all life has died on planet Earth except there are these gem humans, and they're like androgynous characters who are all like their entire body is built out of like a different gem, and all their names are like Amethyst and Garnet
And Steven.
and Steven. And it's really funny because it's like I don't know, it's just kind of funny how it has a very similar like premise to begin with, but it goes in so many different directions. But well, the reason why I bring it up is in the show or in the manga, whatever, of Land of the Lustrous, since your entire body is the gemstone, if any part fractures off and gets lost or destroyed, that is like part of you that you're losing. So you're losing like memories, experiences, parts of your personality, and we see characters undergo like pretty massive changes based on the structure of their body. So it's kind of interesting to think about like how you would take that idea in Steven, where it's like, okay, are these like crushed up gemstones? What kind of like identity would like a particle of gem have at that point? Like how would that?
And that's, I mean, and they really only brush over it being that it's a kid's show, but it's such an interesting thing to think about. I mean, like the cluster as a whole clearly has a personality, like
yeah, because it has once, like it does things, it acts, it doesn't just like exist passively.
Yeah, well, and exactly, it acts multiple times throughout the series too, like for no other reason than to help Steven usually, but like it has that desire to help him, but it's just it's pretty messed up. A lot of it's fridge horror, that trope that like when you really start to think about it, you're like, oh man. But meanwhile they're trying to have breakfast with waffles.
Together breakfast. Yeah, I think we should veer back to that. Because I'm sure we'll have a lot to say about the cluster once we actually reach
I'm
those sets of
like
episodes.
50 episodes from now.
uh, so just there's certain other small things that I really liked. Like I thought it was kind of funny. It wasn't. This episode does not nearly rank as highly as the last few that we've talked about.
Yeah, this is the
for
first
me.
episode that was kind of a mixed bag for me compared to the first three.
Yeah. Pearl looked real janky in some shots.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which is funny. Pearl also says something that I say a lot that I found funny, and I don't know why I say this, but like when I'm emphasizing something, I will say the same word twice. So she says like, "Oh, Amethyst, I cleaned up your awful, awful mess," and it feels funny to me to add like an extra awful there. Like it really is worth restating how horrible Amethyst's mess was.
That's actually a really funny point. That's something I didn't even notice.
You will notice me do it a lot now.
Yeah, now I'm gonna pay attention to that. But yeah, I mean, also, so like, what is the temple?
I was just gonna bring up. So yeah, we see the crystal heart. I don't think that this is ever brought up again in any meaningful way.
Yeah, they do not answer any of that kind of question. Like, is the temple alive? Is it?
So jumping forward, we know that the temple is of obsidian.
Yes,
it is.
Yes,
it is which obsidian is, which we learn later, is a fusion of amethyst, pearl, rose quartz, aka pink diamond, I guess, ruby, and sapphire. Yeah. So I don't know if maybe early on in Steven Universe there was an idea that like they, instead of fusing their bodies to become it, they would need to fuse to like control this form, you know what I mean? And that's why there's like already like and then the whole temple itself would, because I always kind of thought that was what was going to happen, was like a threat would come to Earth and they would need to like weaponize the temple.
Yeah, and then I really have to agree with you there. I think that maybe they were gonna go some way with it, and then just kind of decided to drop it, and that's why we don't get any answers. But that would make sense. That would make sense to have it be a construct that they could, kind of Power Ranger Mechazoid into. Megazord.
So, especially since later, so I just thought of this. We see that the diamonds have these like gigantic body-like structures that can combine and form like a big, Megazord is basically like a big mech.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Like, I wonder if this was kind of like a prototype for that idea. Was like, maybe like Rebecca or someone on the Crewniverse had this idea of like, oh, it'd be really cool if there were like these living gems, these like gigantic fortress, aka like or also work as like spaceship sort of thing.
Yeah.
And because like Pearl, one line that Pearl said that kind of caught my attention is when Steven grabs onto the heart of the gem, she says like, oh, that's connected to the most dangerous areas of the temple. And that seemed to imply like a lot of things.
Yeah.
Here.
Like there's so much that, and you really don't see much of the temple throughout the series. I mean, like there's a couple episodes where you do a little bit of exploring, but honestly, this is probably the episode that you get the most of it from.
I don't remember ever seeing Pearl's room again.
Maybe
we do.
I don't think you. No, you do. There is an episode where, Pearl was like hoarding some of the gem shards in her room.
Oh.
Like she was doing something with them, and then Amethyst finds out, and then they pop, and then they have to go around the temple hunting for them. I think that's like the only other time you see Pearl's room.
Yeah, and it's kind of a shame because like these are really cool sets, and like I know we see the bubble room again because like
for a lot of things, yeah.
Wait, was that even the bubble room? I think I'm mixing up episodes.
No, I thought the bubbles were around the
okay.
Crystal Heart, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it was just kind of a scrapped idea or an idea that it's okay. This is kind of a problematic thing to say, but I was gonna say an idea that they didn't want to spend any more time fleshing out. But my big criticism of that would be there are so many fucking episodes about the Beach City people. So I would even say there's some like redundant episodes that we could like easily cut off, like trim some of the fat of those if we really wanted to focus on more temple exploration
Oh,
gem
def-
bullshit.
definitely. I mean, it also could have been something just as far as like they wrote themselves into a corner in the sense that like if what they were
If every gem
originally
is living,
then pork chops. No, well, I just mean like yeah. I think maybe they were gonna go one direction with it, and then as they kind of fleshed out the gem lore, they're like, oh, this would conflict with a lot of things, so they just were like, screw it.
yeah. Also, kind of along the lines of this, like these kind of early Steven growing pains of like maybe things that we put some time in and then we didn't mean to, or we didn't necessarily. It doesn't fit in with the universe. Are the crystal shrimp? Do you remember the crystal
Yeah,
shrimp from last episode?
yeah, like that.
They're kind of an anomaly because later we learn that all of the like corrupted gems have turned like all of these gem monsters they're fighting were actually like actually like gems with
Themselves,
identities
yeah.
that from like a former life that have been corrupted in some way. But the crystal shrimp, there were like dozens of them. So
Yeah, that's the thing. Were they just like a crystal species that existed on the planet alongside the gems? Were they like
and I mean that's like totally possible. It's just never given.
any?
And not only is it not given an explanation, but it's never we never see anything similar to it.
Yeah, exactly. And it really does. I mean, it's early episode weirdness. You know, there's
Yeah.
a little bit of growing pains where they're trying to figure out exactly where they want to go with it. So I don't fault the series at all, but it's just questions that will
Yeah.
never be answered.
And from an aesthetic point of view, the room, there being like a heart of this temple, is very like visually interesting. So I can see why
Oh yeah,
they would want to, because like as we said, the episode is it's got kind of like a little bit of a non-plot, and it's more of just kind of like doing what we did in the first episode, where we're gonna be fleshing out the gem characters a little bit more, seeing how Steven is incompatible with them in certain ways.
yeah, and then have them kind of grow a little bit from Steven, have him grow a little bit from them,
Yeah.
etc. etc. Yeah. A quick point too. This is like one of the first times we see Steven's strength being a thing.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Because he was like the only one who was able to push the smoke monster away, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something we didn't even really talk about yet. Was the fact that whatever was on the scroll that Garnet was burning has become it inhabits the breakfast and takes over its organic form.
Yeah, which just more questions. I mean, could it do it to a living human? Like, can gems do that to living humans?
I don't know. And it's funny because we were talking about like early episode weirdness, and I just thought about the Steven with the cat fingers episode that we're gonna get to really soon.
Bad
And that's another thing that's kind of just like, yeah, I guess some of the stuff we should kind of take with a grain of salt, but
yeah, but I'll have things to say about that episode. But
I love that one. It's basically Akira, kind of, but not really.
I love it, but I like it. I don't love it. It's definitely not my favorite episode.
Yeah,
but neither is this one. And that's fine. Not all of them can be complete winners. But this,
if every pork chop was perfect,
then we'd have a cheeseburger backpack for everyone. I just not like this episode was fine. It was like, you know, it's not that like, oh, I can't wait to see what happens next episode kind of episode, but it's like I wouldn't consider it filler. I would consider it like progressing the characterization of everybody.
yeah, that's so. I'm of the mindset that like I don't think filler really exists in like in a show like Steven Universe where it's not based off something. So I think that like every episode is either about like a character or making progress with a character.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
the only thing I would consider filler is if there's an episode that, excuse me, doesn't further characterize anybody or doesn't or
like backtracks on like a character arc,
yeah,
which is like even worse.
Ugh. But I can't really think of anything in particular yet for Steven Universe that does that. I'm sure.
Yeah,
if there is
when
an
we see one,
example.
maybe I'll be like, okay, this one actually does suck. But
Yeah, but until then, okay, way further down the line, but the episode in Steven Universe Future where he's babysitting Onion. That episode did nothing for me.
Yeah, I forgot about it.
Yeah, like you had I mean, geez, how many episodes did we get of Future?
Was that Future?
That was Future.
I literally thought that was. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and of all the things to put into a 1-season epilogue, you're gonna put that in.
Also, he didn't age. Onion didn't age, which was another confounding thing to me.
Yeah, is he just gonna stay that way forever?
I guess so.
Is
Onion is a character that I don't really have much affection towards.
Me neither. We haven't even met him yet.
No.
Was he in the background for anything?
I haven't noticed him yet, but we really have not seen that many characters yet. It's kind of crazy how small scale everything is. The only other Steven background character we've seen was Mr. Fryman.
Yeah.
Because every other episode has been okay, introducing Steven's dad, introducing Gems. Of course, we see Lars and Sadie in the first scene, but they're not. I don't consider them to be background characters. They're kind of a step above.
Yeah,
they're a little elevated from that.
They have their own progression that goes on. Yeah, definitely. Oh, Sadie though.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
There's so many things I want to talk about.
I know that's why I was really I knew that when even before I started Together Breakfast, I was there's not going to be much actually to talk about here.
Yeah, it's hard to come up with more.
But yeah, totally not bad. I'm not trying to say this is a bad episode. It's just not super great. It's kind of funny. This is where you fall into the trap of just being I found this joke was funny, and then saying the joke. But I did like the part when Amethyst's chasing after Steven, and she's oh, I'll be able to catch you because we both have short legs. And it's even funnier in hindsight because their sizes keep changing constantly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That joke is funny, Jimmy.
Thank you. Thank you for agreeing with my funny joke. All right, next joke. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any other big details that happen in this episode.
I got nothing.
Garnet
was kind of weird.
Garnet was weird this episode, but she was pretty weird in a lot of the earlier episodes too.
Yeah, that's kind of part of her character because she's supposed to be so out of the three, she's supposed to be the most disconnected from Steven.
Yeah, an alien and just mysterious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty easy to make this a shorter episode for us.
Yeah.
There's not a ton to I meant by shorter, 7 whole minutes.
Yeah. All right. I think with that, we can kind of wrap it up now. So yeah, together lunch, together breakfast. Oh, I thought of another funny joke when he said, "I don't want this to be a together brunch." Thank you.
Sorry.
It really validated my my low self-esteem. Thank you.
Oh, of course, that's exactly what I'm here for.
All right, let's actually wrap this up. Unless you have anything else to say.
No, I give it 1 waffle out of breakfast.
All right. Oh shit, we almost forgot the one bit that we're doing. There were no cries. No crying in this episode.
No crying, and I forgot to look for hugs.
You're really writing a check you can't cash here.
I am dropping the ball on that. I'm just glad I got my Gemsona. I was still on a pretty big high from that. Pretty sure.
I'm gonna say.
I'm pretty sure there was no hugs.
Yeah, I'm gonna say with pretty strong confidence there was not a hug in this episode. And if I'm wrong, I don't know. Fucking rake my body over coals. I don't give a shit.
I'm gonna have to rewatch all of these again to double check for hugs. Not even pay attention to anything about the plot. Just look for body contact.
Any body contact. I actually was thinking now, it would be kind of fun to make this is not me telling you to do anything, this is more of me thinking out loud, to make an actual episode list of best to worst, since we're going through it in order slowly.
Oh, I would legitimately like to do that. Maybe when we get 20 episodes deep, we start to make an order, then go from there, or something like that.
Mhm.
Just so we have a chunk to begin with.
Yeah, I think I might just start, like, because I think for me it'll be easy to watch an episode, look at my list already, and be like, okay, this episode is better than Cheeseburger Backpack, but worse than Gem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I might try that, and then we'll see how quickly I give up on that.
Well, I say do it.
Hell yeah.
Mm.
All right, we should really end it now.
Yes. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoy listening to us ramble on about vaguely on topic things.
This episode, not really.
not really at all, but it's fun for us, and
Oh, hell yeah.
yeah. You can find me here, and
That's it.
and Jimmy, you can plug your stuff.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. I'm at King Protus. Follow me for glory.
Ooh.
Thank you so much for listening. Join us next week. I think these are going to come out weekly. Join us next week when we talk about episode 5 of Steven Universe, which is called Fribo.
Yes, and I love you all, especially you. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh my god, he's pointing right at you.
Yeah.
It's you. He's pointing at you.
You're beautiful.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.